Hey there, you're listening to the Harp Films podcast. My name is Dakota Harp, and I'm the owner, videographer, and editor with Harp Films. Today, I'm joined by the owner of Certain Marketing, who also happens to double as my wife, Loden Harp. Great to have you.
Hi.
So what we really wanted to talk about today was the dynamic of what it's like being both self-employed, but also working together as husband and wife, as spouses. What that's like, all the implications that come along with that in our family life and in our work life. Mm-hmm. So we're going to chat about that now.
A lot of ladies I talk to, they go, I could never work with my husband. Like, do you see that couple? You're like, if they ever work together, they kill each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've seen. I think we see a lot of people. Well, what's even funnier to me is the couples who are like, oh, I would love to be self-employed. We're gonna be self-employed together.
But they don't know what that means.
I'm like, don't do it because so we talked about it earlier. Yes, when you're self-employed, you get to make your own hours. All 24 of them.
Yes.
That's what we always say. So my favorite example of that is, when we were having Shepherd,
that's
you can tell that story way better than I can, but it was very funny being on the receiving end of it.
Okay, so a little backstory. I'm self-employed. I own a marketing company called Certain Marketing, and we do anything from social media marketing to graphic design, web design, and a little niche I have is we host webinars for one of our clients, a product safety client. And I went to my doctor's appointment. I was very pregnant with our second baby, and my doctor told me, you're going to have that baby now.
Like right now.
Yes. Dakota was not with me. I was by myself, and I had projects I needed to take care of. I needed social media graphics. I needed photos edited, and I was hosting 3 webinars the next day. And I went, what am I going to do? Because when you're self-employed, it's all on you.
Yeah. Exactly. And we had no time to prepare.
No. So I was sent straight to my room. And I got hooked up to all my lines. And before I even called Dakota, I called my client. And I said, Dawn, I just want to let you know that I am having a baby right now, but I will be there for your webinars tomorrow. So don't you worry about that. And
then Dawn winds up calling me for status updates. He's like, how's our patient doing?
So how it went is I was working on my laptop on the bed, active labor. I'm making graphics. I'm setting up posts for the week. I'm going to this is about midnight at this point. I'm going to Dakota, I really need you to edit this photo. I'm exhausted.
You were like, I think we got into a small argument about
because you were like, Loden, you're really tired.
I was like, no, maybe now's not the time. You're like, just do it real quick. I don't understand what the problem is. And I was like,
I won't have time once I have this baby.
I was like, aside from the fact that we're having a baby,
yes.
You were way too tired and you were like hurting a little bit too.
Oh, well, because so normally when you're in labor, they put maybe a peanut ball around you to help you progress. Well, I was just sitting there working on my laptop and I'm going, I'm feeling a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
I feel a lot of pressure. And then all of a sudden I'm typing on my laptop. I'm doing my work. And the nurse walks in and goes, that baby's ready to come out right now.
Like this second.
And so
5 minutes later, doctor's in the room. Shepherd's
and I had
here.
the baby. Dakota shut my laptop. He took it away and we had the baby. And you know what I did? I set my alarm for 7 a.m., which was only in a few hours, to get prepped for my webinars.
That's exactly right.
So I had Shepherd, took care of all that, maybe got an hour or two. Nah, we didn't get any sleep.
No, yeah, we didn't
Alarm
get a
went
whole
off,
lot.
And I hosted all my webinars the next day and the day after that. It was a big week of webinars. And I remember us getting discharged and going, I can't be discharged just yet because I got one more webinar and then we can leave.
Yes. That is a perfect example of, getting to make all your hours being a double-edged sword.
Yes, where there's nobody to fall back on.
Yeah, it all falls on you. But, within the dynamic of being spouses, being married, I think that it has an even bigger implication of you now. It's not just like if you're single and you want to work work yourself to death.
Yeah.
You can do that, and then you'll just recover, and it's no big deal. When you're married, and especially when you have kids, you now have a family to worry about. You know, you got to spend time with them. You have to, and it's not just enough to spend time with them. You have to engage, which means you have to be able to unplug from your business, from what you're doing. And that becomes increasingly more difficult when it's both of us doing that, because the temptation is to sit at home and while the boys are playing, talk about a work thing, at least for me. That's my biggest temptation.
Or when we're on a date.
Or when we're on a date. Sometimes it's fun to talk about work. Like we'll talk about a funny client or something funny that happened. And that's great. But the temptation to go like, hey, so what are we doing about that post next week? What's the plan for this? Okay, what about this shoot?
I've had to get you to stop. We were on the date, like in the car driving to the restaurant, and you're talking about a shoot we have next week.
Yeah,
and I'm
I
going,
teeter on that line.
You got to stop.
Yeah, I sit on that line because the problem is I really, really enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
And I think you do too.
Yeah.
I think so.
No, I do.
But it's very easy to transition from, I loved this shoot today. It was so much fun and blah, 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 blah. And then go, yeah, and one of the cool things about it was I got to get really technical with this and shoot 4K and everything. And, that was neat. And, are we going to shoot 4K on the shoot next week? And then, but now we're off to the races in the wrong direction. Mm-hmm. And then the same thing goes for the time commitment, like making time for the family. For me, I have deal breakers, that are like, okay, bedtime, 7 to 8-ish is like a deal breaker for me. I have to be home for that. Every once in a while, I will fudge that rule just a little bit, if it's a wedding. But that waking up in the morning, because Eli is that's our 3-year-old, is a hellion if I miss wake up time. Like if I'm not there when he wakes up, he's a nightmare all day long.
He misses his dada.
But the same thing goes for you. Like the few times I've taken care of like mornings and stuff without you, I totally get that. I completely understand. It throws off his routine.
Yeah, but I think the best way that we work together now is you're the content creator for my social media and web design clients.
I think that's a really good point. So like key to working together is having defined roles.
Yes.
I think, and every once in a while, our roles will bleed into each other a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think we still have those borders pretty well defined.
Yeah.
Example is whenever we were on that recent chiropractic shoot, of kind of our borders bleeding together enough where, we're still working together and it's still amicable, so the dynamic a lot of times on like a set or whatever is you'll have like the marketing person or a writer of some kind, and they walk in and they feel like they're in charge, but this is the video person's domain. This is what they know. And so that can lead to a lot of conflicts where marketing person comes in and says, hey, actually, I want to rephrase this to do this. And video person goes, well, I've got the edit in mind, and I know that's going to sound like garbage. So no, we're not doing that because this is my shoot. Well, it's actually their shoot too. And so now you've got a conflict. Whereas when you and I go, it's like having an in-house person, but you're also that. We're one. We're like working together. And so there on this shoot, I went, okay, and now we're going to do our outro. If this sounds like you, give us a call at blah, blah, blah. We can't wait to hear from you. And you were like, actually, I don't want to do the outro. I want to do like a normal ending. And it was just something cut and dry. Like, I'm Dr. Livergood. Thanks for watching. Something like that. And in my mind, I'm like, no. That was my first thought. But then I was like, she's my wife. We'll go ahead and do it, which is the way it should go. And so we shot that, and then we shot the outro as well. So we had both of them. And then I got into the edit, and I went, actually, that is a pretty cool way to end that. That's not a bad idea. And that's the way the dynamic should be on any set. But whenever it's your spouse, it makes it easier to approach things together. I think.
We work really well together in client meetings because I tend
I feel like we have very defined roles. Like you're the expert, like you're the strategy expert, and I'm like the salesperson.
Yes, because I flub over my words and I get really distracted.
It's the ADD.
Yes, and then you're so good. We met with a potential law firm client the other day, and some music started playing during the meeting, and then I just blacked out.
It was like what is it? It's Patrick, where they just kind of zoom in and it's just, a monkey clanging cymbals. I just watched your eyes glaze over. And I was like, oh no, oh no, oh no. And I just jumped in and I was like, so as Loudon was saying, I just want to piggyback off what she was saying.
I was so impressed.
And I watched you and I was like, come back, come back, come back. And eventually you came back and I was like, yeah. And I'm going to hand it back to Loudon now. And you came back in and you finished it out and it was great.
Yes.
That was a great meeting.
We work so well as a team. And like when we shot weddings together, you would tell me, Loudon, today I'm not your husband, I'm your boss. And at first that really hurt my feelings. But I learned how to place business.
I think it's worth noting that at this point you were still learning. Like you did not know how to fit. It wasn't
This was like 5 years ago.
Yeah. At this point you had been holding a camera for a few months, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I had a lot of learning to do. And I had to learn how to separate like our personal relationship, but use it to our advantage.
Yeah.
And
it worked really well to our advantage at weddings specifically.
We had a lot of chemistry, and it's like people can even see that now in the shoot. We work in shoots and we work very fluidly together in communication, and we're not fighting against each other. We're working together for the client.
Yeah. I think that at the end of the day, when a client's looking for a marketing company or they're looking for a videographer, nobody sits there and thinks like, I need a married couple for this. And I don't think we've ever used that as a marketing point, but people see it when we go on a shoot and they're like, I feel like I'm really getting some more bang for my buck here because they're like, whereas if you go with a marketing agency, that doesn't have a video person, typically that marketing agency will go, okay, well, now I have a video project that's coming up. I'm going to get bids from other videographers and we'll see who fits the bill best for this project. Whereas you bring me into the project, you communicate your vision and I understand you because we're married.
Yeah.
And then we create exactly what you're looking for the client. And maybe I throw in some tweaks.
Yeah. No, I think that it works great.
Yeah, I think that our roles are defined clearly, but we have flexibility within that. We make time for each other, and we have understanding that within the bounds of being self-employed and being self-employed together, that there's going to be days where it's 7 or 8 o'clock rolls around, boys are down, and I got to work for an hour. Yeah. Same thing goes for you, where you're like, oh, I got to prep a webinar for the morning. I got to send this email, I got to send a newsletter. That stuff comes up, and there's got to be understanding and communication. And definitely in communication. Calendars are the best thing in the world.
Dakota's always like, did you put this on my calendar? Because it's not there.
I am becoming nitpicky about my calendar now because I have Minnow is a client out of Nashville, and we have meetings Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And now I've turned Mondays into my content days, so that takes Monday off the shelf for most days. Tuesdays are a lot of my retainer people. Wednesdays are hopefully usually editing days. And that leaves Thursday and Friday for whatever else comes up. And so now I've become very meticulous about I need my calendar updates.
Yes.
But you've gotten good about sending it in an email, just like I need this video, this date, or this shoot, this date. And I'm like, okay, great, thank you. And then we're pretty much set after that.
Yeah.
But is there anything else to a married couple or, to a married couple, any advice or warnings or tidbits you'd like to share with somebody who is considering going self-employed?
Yes. It might be depending on where they're coming from. So in the beginning, you were selling insurance and you said, Loudon, I think I want to be self-employed and I want to own a video production company. And I said, absolutely not. You're going to continue to sell insurance because that is reliable and that is stable and secure.
I will say, we're on the good side of this now, but I can say that I remember you laughed at me when I said that.
Yes.
You did.
I was like, you're insane.
And to be fair, I think I laughed too. I was like, what a crazy idea.
But you would have been miserable if you would have stayed in insurance. And so you ended up quitting your insurance job and starting video production. And amicably. And so I took on a full-time job as a marketing director, so that you could build your video company. You were
kind of supporting us for, 3 months?
I think it was more than that.
I was making negative dollars at that time.
So, but I was unhappy at my job. And so at my 9 to 5. It was not where I was supposed to be. And so one day I was talking and this guy asked me if I could run his social media for his frozen yogurt shop in Texas. And I went, sure, I could
Why
do
not?
that. And one
cash
thing,
on the side.
I know, but one thing led to another. And I got enough clients where I did the math and I went, I can quit my full-time job and I can do this. And I was a different person. And so that to say, if you're looking at going self-employed, have a plan
As best as you can.
as best as you can. But I understand that being self-employed is scary. Understanding there's risks and it's on you. You can't fall back on a company.
Nobody wants to face the reality of being self-employed, but the reality is that the majority of small businesses will fail within the first 2 to 5 years.
Yeah. Live frugally.
Live frugally, I think, is the biggest thing. We naturally we don't spend a lot of money. We don't buy fancy clothes. We traveled a little bit, and that was about it. But we didn't. And that was never for us like we got to do the envelope system. We got to no more eating out or anything. Like it just kind of happened that way. I think we live pretty frugally, but whenever it comes to like just how to approach it, I think living frugally and understand that in the beginning you probably won't make money.
Yeah.
Like so have a spouse.
So don't do it at the same time because that
Don't
would
do
be
it at the
pretty
same
rough.
time.
Yes.
Yeah, unless you've, it's different if you've been building your business for a while and now you're making the leap to go full time into it. There's different discussion we had about that. But if you're talking about just making the leap, you're like, I'm going to do this thing full time. Go slow
and get some good business advice. Taxes with your CPA.
Yeah, talk with the CPA. Do some of your own research. Get to know your industry, make connections, and ride the train. It's going to be slow. It's going to take a while, and it's going to be
scary.
It's going to be bumpy. But
especially during COVID. That was really scary.
Oh, yeah. We'll have another episode separate just about the COVID year.
Yeah.
But I think that pretty much covers the entire dynamic of our married, self-employed, working relationship.
I think it's pretty great.
I think we have a pretty great relationship. I'm pretty happy with our dynamic and our family.
I'm too.
I think we get great time with each other, like we do now. And I think we both really love what we do.
We do.
So. You've been listening to the Harp Films podcast. If you enjoyed this show, please like it, share it with your friends, share it in your Instagram story, Instagram Reels, wherever you like to post stuff, LinkedIn, and if you're into that kind of thing. And stay tuned for the up and coming episodes. We are posting episodes weekly. If you have things that you'd like us to discuss on this show, be sure to send us a message on Instagram @HarpFilms or shoot me an email, dakota@harpfilms.com. We'd love to discuss topics that are relevant to you, the listener. But until next time, I'm Dakota Harp.
I'm Lauren Harp.
And we will see you on the next one.